Hi, my name is Sierra Blake, and I'm 21 years old. This is a real story. My story: never thought moving into an old university town would unlock a memory that didn't belong to me. I wasn't looking for ghosts, I wasn't chasing legends, but something was waiting for me in the house I rented. A feeling, a shadow, a presence. If this story isn't made up, I lived it. So if you're watching or reading this, please subscribe, like, and share this story with someone who still believes in silence speaking louder than screams. This story is written and edited by Dark Life Side Diaries. It was supposed to be a fresh start after a year of spiraling in the chaos of city life. I wanted quiet, books, peace, something new. Found a listing online for a small house just outside of Ashbury, a sleepy little town where everyone either worked at the university or wrote poetry in cafes with cracked mugs. I signed a 6-month lease without even visiting it. It looked fine in photos, outdated but cozy, a little too quiet, but I thought that's what I wanted. The house had 3 rooms, 1 bedroom, 1 office, and a small room upstairs that was locked when I moved, and the landlord told me that's just storage, don't worry about it. All latch is broken anyway. I nodded and didn't ask questions. But the room had a window wand. It was always cracked. A penny would close it lock. I'd even nail it shut once every time I came back from the store from school. From anywhere, the window was open again. It wide, just crack it. No for cold air, no for a whisper. I told myself it was the wind, that the wood was warped, but deep down something in my gut said, no, it's Harry. Didn't know who she was, didn't know what had happened in that room. But I started dreaming about her. Girl with wet hair standing at the window whispering a name I couldn't understand. Never looked at Mesh, never turned around, just stood there day after day in my dreams in the same position, looking out, waiting. He thought I was losing my dental. One night he found something tucked under the floorboard beneath the window. It was a black velvet ribbon tied in a perfect bow, and beneath it scratched into the with 3 words: she never left. The black velvet ribbon stayed with me all night. He placed it on the nightstand like it was some kind of evidence, like maybe if I stared at it long enough it would explain itself. But it didn't. It just sat there, soft, frayed at the edge, still knotted in a neat little bow like someone tied it, and never came back for it. He didn't sleep because round 3:17 a.m. I heard the window creak open again, at loud, not sudden, just that soft slow shift of the latch giving way, the glass lifting just enough to let in the cold. He didn't move, I didn't breath, I just listened. And then came the sound of bare feet on old wood upstairs in the locked room. He told myself it was the house settling, that my nerves were louder than the truth. Bit in the morning I went back upstairs, back to the door with the broken latch, and this time I pushed it open. That room was small, barely big enough for a twin bed and a dresser. Dust blanketed everything like snow, but someone had drawn a heart in the dust. On the window pane inside the heart was a name, Eden. That was the moment everything shifted. Back house. That wasn't a name I had made up. It wasn't from a dream. It was really Googled it. I searched property records, and within an hour I found Eden Morse lived in the house. In 2001, East Eden Posh went missing on October 6th. She was never found. No one knows if she ran away, if she died, if she simply disappeared into thin air, but neighbors still whispered her name in town like it left a cold taste in their mouths. And now I was living in her house, sleeping in her silence, seemed finding her name scratched into windows as if she was waiting to be seen again. After finding Eden's name in the dust, I couldn't stay calm anymore. I tried to tell myself it was all explainable, that the ribbon was from the last tenant, that the heart in the dust was a prank, that I had dreamed the footsteps and creaking window spit. By then I knew better. That night I lit a candle and sat in the upstairs room. There was colder there. Still, even time was holding its breath. He stared at the window for hours, just waiting. In around 2:43 a.m. the flame flickered sideways, hard, like something moved past Methan. I heard it, not footsteps or whisper so soft it might have been the wind, but it wasn't. It said, Sierra, I Frazina, one in town knew I was here, yet he hadn't given the address to anyone. F mailbox was empty. My phone was silent. But something in this house knew my name. I backed out of the room, down the stairs, sharp pounding. He didn't sleep that night. I didn't even sit down. He just paced the living room until sunrise, replaying it in my head. Then something told me to check the walls, to ask me why, call it instinct, fear, or maybe Eden herself. Went upstairs and started tapping the back wall of the room. Sounded how he pulled the dresser away. Behind it, faint seams in the wallpaper revealed a hidden panel. Opened with a little force. Inside was a small spot channel more than 2 feet witty, and in it, stacked carefully like sacred things, were journals, 7 of them, each one labeled in tiny handwriting, Eden Morse private. The last one had no title, just a date, October 5, 2001, the day before she vanished. My hands shook as I picked open the first pageant. What I read made my skin crawl. There's something wrong with the window. It closed every night, but it opens before dawn. Hear my name whispered through the glass. Think someone's watching, or wait, and don't know who. Just know I'm not alone. The journal entries were messy words scratched out, rewritten pages, torn like Eden couldn't decide whether she wanted to be remembered or erased. But I kept reading. Each page pulled me deeper into her world. They think I'm just anxious, that I'm imagining things, but every night the window opens, I hear the same name, Lena. I don't know who. The eyes, and I swear the air smells like rain before it comes, but the sky is clear. Haven't told anyone, not even Caleb. That was the first time she mentioned another name, Caleb. I flipped through the other journals. Appeared over and over. Caleb said the house feels off, but he thinks I'm projecting. I asked Caleb if he's ever had sleep paralysis. He said no, but I saw him staring out the window at 3 a.m. He doesn't remember it. The more I read, the more I felt if this wasn't just about Eden, the house was doing something to Pleto Herdo him. Then I reached the final entry, one dated October 5th, 2001. It was short. Something is coming. I feel it in my bone. Nessie closed the window and locked the door, but that won't matter. It always finds a way, and no signature, goodbye, just silence. That was the night she disappeared. There in the room turned heavy. As I closed the journal, looked toward the window, still cracked. The panthy breeze brushed against my skin, even though the air outside was still in. For the first time, I whispered back, Eden, I hear you. The lights flickered just for a second, then I saw it carved faintly into the bottom corner of the wooden window frame. Help me finish it. That night I didn't sleep. Instead, I read all 7 journals cover to cover, and in between Eden's pain, confusion, and fear, I noticed something strange. A poem scattered across entries line by line like a puzzle. She wanted someone to put together. She hadn't just vanished. She had left behind a code. Be sunrise. I had pieced it together. Each journal entry scattered over weeks hit a line of a poem. She never wrote it all in one placing overtitled It Bid. When I laid the lines side by side, something clicked. It read, the window breathes when no one's near. A whisper breaks when no one hears her name once spoken won't return. Glass remembers all that burned. Her voice is locked behind the pane. A soul repeating through the rain. It wasn't just a poem, it was a warning, or worse, a ritual. And something about the last line, a soul repeating through the rain, that got to me, because every time I heard her, every time I saw the window shifted, was raining. Given if the forecast said clear, even if the sky looked truth at night, I recorded everything she said up my phone, a camera facing the window, audio recording running beside the velvet ribbon, and the journal on my desk. He waited to 59 a.m. Nothing. 3 o'clock a.m. thunder in the distant sea, and then 3:01 the window creaked gently. This time it didn't stop. It opened fully, not from wind, not from force. It invited something in me. Phone glitched, the audio popped, and then I heard her voice, clear, soft, terrified. You found it. I turned toward the hallway, and standing just outside the room was a figure in it, a shadow in it, a dream. It was a girl, long with hair, bare feet, a black velvet ribbon around her neck, and but she wasn't wholish, flickered like a candle being snuffed out and reignited again and again. She looked at me for the first time and whispered, don't read the last line. Then she was gone, and no sound, no movement, just the echo of those 6 words. He rushed back to the journal, flipped to the poem. Last line. There was one more line below the others, too faint to see before, and if she reads, she takes her place. The audio stopped, lights went out, and I realized that this wasn't just her story anymore. It was about to become mine. The second I whispered that final line, and if she reads, she takes her place, something shifted in the house. And not a slam, not a bang, but an almost imperceptible pause, like the air itself had sucked in a breath and forgot how to let it go. And then the Silence broke as walls groaned at the upstairs room or swung open. Even though I had closed-eyed, and in that moment I realized I wasn't just a visitor anymore. Had answered something triggered. I accepted a role I didn't know existed. I ran down the stairs outside into the cold night. He stood on the front lawn, heart racing, staring up at the upstairs window. It was open with a curtain fluttering like a waving hand, and behind it for just a second he saw Harridan. No longer flickering, just watching. He left that night, checked into a motel to towns over, told myself I would never go back. But the moment I closed my eyes, the dreams returned. No, it wasn't Eden standing at the window. It was my hair, wet feet, bare ribbon tight round my neck. He woke up screaming, and the worst part, the window at the motel was cracked open, the latch broken. Next morning, I found something slipped under the door, a page torn from Eden's journey, name written in her handwriting. Zero. You read the last line, now it's your turn. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to, but whatever I had awakened didn't crave was tethered now to Herdo. The room to the poem, no matter how far I drove, how many rooms I bucketed. Kept finding windows that refused to stay closed. He called the landlord, asked him directly who lived in this house before me. He paused, then finally said, before you, no one. It sat empty for years. Cops told us to leave that upstairs room locked. Why? Because the girl once vanished in there, and the last tenant before her, she tried to burn the room down. I asked what happened to that woman. His voice dropped. She's still in a facility, doesn't speak, keeps drawing the same window over and over. And then he added, she said something before she stopped talking, though kept repeating it. What did she say? I asked. She said, I shouldn't have read the last line. I didn't want to go back, but I knew I had told Iden's story wasn't finished, and now neither was. Minith House stood exactly as I left it, still waiting. Upstairs window open, of course. Inside, the journals were undetached. The velvet ribbon lay neatly across the desk like someone stood there again. After I fled, he stood in that room staring at the window, the broken latch hanging like a loose hand. I asked out loud, what do you want from me? The air shifted, and then I felt her behind. Minute flickering it, whispering just present. Eternity. Eden stood near the closed hair, damp eyes hollow, but she wasn't sad, wasn't angry. She looked tired, and in her hands she held a final page, a journal entry I hadn't seen. She didn't speak, but I heard it anyway inside me, like a thought. That wasn't mine. You were never supposed to take my place. You were supposed to finish my story and close the window. She held out the page, stepped forward, and took ketone line just one. If someone remembers me, I can leave. It hit me. Then she wasn't trapped by the window or the poem or the house. She was trapped by being forgotten. All she wanted after all these years was for someone to know she existed, to know her, fear her, name her truth. So I did what I had to do. I gathered her journal, scanned every page, typed out every entry, and I published them online for free under the title, The Window She Never Closed. The Journals of Eden Morse. I didn't add my name. I didn't take credit, but I added a note at the top. She was real. She mattered, and she was never just a ghost. Within days, people began to read. They left comments, shared it, podcasts picked it up, Reddit threads exploded. Her story spread like wildfire. And then the house chain got there, softened at the upstairs window, closed, and it never opened again. He still live in Ashbury, but not in the house as a man else rents it now. We asked them once, just in passing, ever notice anything weird upstairs? They shrugged. Nope, it's just a little dusty. That's when I knew she was gone. If an alien air said not. Los, just free because someone remembered her. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it here, you didn't just hear a ghost story, you became part of Eden's ending, because sometimes all a soul needs is to be remembered. Let me know what part shook you the most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who listens when no one else does. This story is written and edited by Dark Life Side Diaries.